What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours of nonstop NBA DFS conversation starts right now. 8-game slate in the association. I know a lot of people got the madness. The madness starting tomorrow. Well, I guess technically it starts tonight, right? Or today. Has the nonsense game started today? I don't know. Not really sure. But the real tournament, I suppose, starts tomorrow with the college. But 8 games in the association. Not great. As a collection, they're not spectacular. I did tweet this out earlier today. Amongst the 8 games, 7 of the 8 have a line of at least 9 points. So a lot of potential scheduled blowouts. The one that's not a scheduled blowout is the Miami Heat versus Cleveland Cavaliers. That has a total of like 203, 204. So it's not in a very appealing game environment, although we might lose some pieces, more pieces on Miami, which would open them up some. But yeah, it's kind of an ugly slate. It's an 8-gamer, and it feels smaller than that. Helping me out to talk through it. It's Will, Chief. You guys know him from the prop shop. Will, how's Wednesday working out for you? Are you gonna put some lipstick on the pig that is his slate? Do you feel it's not as ugly as I'm suggesting? It's kind of gross as far as I can tell right now.
Well, I was hanging out in NBA chat a little bit today, and I'm going to play some FanDuel tonight just because I know this sounds weird, but baseball's starting to get rolling, and so I'm going to play a fair amount of baseball there. Just getting my mind, just even looking at the platform. And man, when I was looking at lineup HQ, it was forcing 4 Toronto Raptors into my builds. Just as I was just kind of getting an idea of what the slate might look like and what people might be doing. And I immediately said, nah, I'm not playing 4 Raptors. But I mean, I think that's the slate in a nutshell. And what I mean by that is it's forcing 4 Toronto Raptors in there, Dean. I mean, of all shapes and sizes. And I am not going to be with the field. I mean, I do understand that there are a couple of guys that we're probably going to have to play, and I get that. I don't think the slate is as bad as you, but I don't think the slate is as bad as me needing to play 4 Raptors on FanDuel. DraftKings, I get it. Some of them are in the 3K range, but yeah, man, I think that's where I'm going to get my edge tonight, and we'll dive into some other little goodies, and hopefully I can help the people make some money with a couple of off the wall, off the beaten path plays, if you will.
Yeah, hook people up some props as well. If they happen to come up organically, by all means, fire those off. And by the way, on DK, some lineups you're getting 5 Raptors if you're not limiting. So obviously, FanDuel, you're not allowed to play more than 4 of a particular, teammates. Yeah, DraftKings, as of right now, this stuff can change. It's a couple of studs and a bunch of Raptors. That's what I'm seeing in the very first optimal right now. Chop, happy Wednesday, happy hump day, welcome. How do you feel about today's 8-game slate? And there's money to be made, and I don't mean to like poo-poo it. I'm playing it. I'm excited about the slate. I'm in the 888 tonight on DK, so chip in a chair, maybe you can bink something, take down 250. But just as far as basketball games, it's not the best collection. We've had better games. There will be better games tomorrow, probably. But yeah, Chop, your thoughts as far as tonight's 8-gamer?
Yeah, I don't mind. I wasn't as taken aback. I think pretty much all basketball sucks these days. I mean, it's just inevitable. It's just not good. But so I can live with this. And I'm just, also, Dean, this time tomorrow, we'll be balls deep in March Madness, and that'll be that, and it'll be a good thing. We'll be able to, and by the way, I got scheduled. By the way, I got scheduled for a show tomorrow during March Madness. Well,
oh boy,
Devin, the schedule maker. Oof, that's a rough one, brother. But I'll power through it, and we'll do it. But I'm ready, man. I'm ready for this slate. I'm ready for tomorrow, the weekend. It's gonna be fun basketball this weekend.
You still firing off brackets? You loading up a bunch of brackets, or just kind of like air props and bets, or you get all sorts of angles?
Do everything, Dean. Fire off some brackets, even though we all know that's probably a losing proposition. It's tough to predict a bracket these days, but the player props are money. Any sports betting you can do is fun. And we know there's gonna be big, nice prize pools for DFS. They've already put the one out for Thursday, so just a full buffet, Dean. Just a smorgasbord of all college basketball stuff.
I always associated smorgasbord with just like Chinese buffets. Can you have a smorgasbord of like Greek food, or is it exclusively for Chinese food? Is that just me? Maybe that's
you need to get out more. You don't get out enough, I don't think. If all
I always thought
if the Chinese
smorgasbord is synonymous. It's synonymous with Chinese. Like you don't get a smorgasbord of Italian food. Is all I'm saying. Isn't that the word they use for? Maybe it's just what my parents use, I suppose, and I kind of pass it down. But All right. That's a topic for
Charleston,
the upcoming podcast.
we were right by Myrtle Beach. You go there, you've got the Calabash. I mean, with seafood, the seafood buffet and all galore. Like, D, did you not go to Myrtle Beach when you lived here? Please tell me.
I've been to Myrtle Beach before, but I didn't like go out of my way for it.
That's that's the place for the one of the better seasons of Kenny Powers, man, was Myrtle Beach when he was with South Carolina in the minor leagues.
One of the better seasons.
Have
you given that a rewatch?
Did he play for the Pelicans?
Oh, I don't know how realistic it was. But no real team probably wanted to be associated with Kenny Powers. They probably had made up team names. I'm guessing.
That's the minor league team in Myrtle Beach. I'm really just kidding around. I'm going to mute myself now.
All right. By the way, you said seafood buffet. You didn't say seafood smorgasbord. You made my point. Nobody says seafood smorgasbord, but they'll say Chinese smorgasbord. That's the entire point I was making. All right. What's up, chat? Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. We have no poll just yet in chat. We'll see what the producer Heaps comes up for us, but sometimes it happens to come up organically as well. By the way, Chop, you mentioned that we have projections and we have NCAA, contest stuff for, because there's big contests out there for March Madness. So you know what? It might be a good time to sign up for RG Premium. Not only do you get NBA, PGA, NHL, MMA, MLB, which is a week away, you would get the NCAA college tournament stuff 6 months. 6 months of combo premium exclusive price of $469.99. That is a savings of $250. That's if you would buy it individually month by month. And again, if you just want to play the college tournament stuff, if that's what you're excited about, $19.99, you get a 3-day pass. So get yourself a 3-day pass tomorrow. You get, at least 3 quarters. Hopefully you make enough money to get the 4th day as well. And hey, maybe you make enough money to get yourself a 6-month pass. You like it enough, stick around, do test out the product. Or it is Wheel Wednesday. What does that mean? We're going to spin the wheel. We spin the wheel in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, the live stream chat channel. You go to producer Steve. I presume, I've not checked, but I presume he has already posted the, there it is, Wheel Wednesday entries. Several people have already clicked it. Just click the avatar. You're eligible. 6 o'clock on the East Coast. We'll be spinning that wheel. We will give away 1 week of RG Premium, possibly two, depending upon you. Just hit the like button. Enough people hit the like button. We'll give away 2 individual weeks, and we'll do that in about 50 minutes or so. Let's see. What else is going on in chat? Tasteful Tides is giving me the business here. Yeah, well, nothing new there. All right. What else? Anything we should talk about as far as the slate here, Chop, before we fully dive in? A lot of questionable players, obviously. Jimmy Butler's kind of a big one. Bam's a big one. If they're both out, I mean, Thomas Bryant season could be happening for Miami. Stay tuned on that one. John Collins, he's still reeling from getting dunked on. He's got a questionable face. Draymond's got I think he's got a back, so he's questionable. Boston's still playing their games, because they can. They have Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown are both officially questionable. They are on an island game. There's only 4 teams that are on the front of a back-to-back. That's 25%. Nobody's playing the back end of a back-to-back today. Giannis, they ruled Giannis out, even though they said he's not injured, which is weird because they're on national TV, but okay, whatever. I'm sure ESPN is thrilled. That is the front half of the ESPN doubleheader, Milwaukee and Boston. Memphis Golden State is the back end. It's just an injury management thing for Giannis, apparently, but he's not expected to play tonight. Anthony Simons, midday downgrade for Portland, which seems somewhat meaningful. We've seen DeAndre Ayton play out of his mind of late. He's been spectacular there for Portland. You got anything, Chop, here? Anything we're monitoring? The overview of tonight's slate. Anything else we want to point out besides too many Raptors?
The slate, no, not really. We'll talk about it every game. There's nothing that jumps out. I do want to answer a question, Dean, that's in chat. It says, Mr. Gerg wants to know, what's my favorite first-round bet?
Oh, I want to know, too.
Well, there's some good bet. I don't think there's anything that, jumps out to me, but I'll say the one that I probably like the most right now is Texas A&M as an underdog. I think they win that game. I mean, Nebraska would have to get very hot from the 3-point range. I'll take my chances. I like the way A&M's built. I'll take A&M as an underdog in the first round. So, I'll go with that one. And then
how many points am I getting, Chop? I'm pulling it up now. I get
it's
1.5.
It's only a 1.5, but I mean, I think man. I'll be happy if Nebraska pulls the upset because the winner goes on to face Houston. I think Texas A&M is a very, very dangerous tournament team the way they're constructed with those guards. So I think A&M is in the first round is a pretty good bet. But they're all the spreads they've adjusted for everything. So I don't know. I did like Kansas, but Kansas lost their best player last night. Got ruled out for the tournament, so can't go that route. And there's some other injuries you got to monitor. So I'll roll with A&M.
Did you watch Virginia not score for like 10 straight minutes? Did you watch that game by chance?
No, I didn't watch it. I know what's coming, Dean. When they say Virginia's going to play, I can't watch it. So I knew that was coming. So, that's good on me for knowing what not to subject myself to that. I don't know why we keep messing around with teams like Virginia and, instead of something good. Like you saw who they did. They put Virginia in over some very, very
the goggles guy, Indiana State. I don't know much about college basketball, but he's
popular. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, CREAM. Like he's a showman, man. And
does he have a hook shot by chance, or just? I mean, he's got to work that in somehow.
He's a Jokic-like passer, Dean. He's solid like that. But I mean,
Jokic-like.
Virginia. I mean, whatever. No, I didn't watch a second of that because I know what's happening when they say Virginia's going to play. I already know, so I'm out on that.
By the way, scores and odds, $10 off your first month. I was looking at there's tons. There's a slew of picks. A lot of sides, a lot of totals at scores and odds for college basketball, and a lot of player props as well too. So going to be going through that. I'm sorry, I put the mush on your Houston Cougars. I got them at 22.5, a little bit of closing line value because it's already moved to 23.5. Got that a couple days ago. I can't remember who posted it, but jumped on that one. Will, do you have any college basketball takes? Is that something you dabble in?
No, man. Listen, let me tell you something. Secret to DFS, props, sports betting. Just listen to people that are smarter than you if it's not your primary sport. I don't run in the NASCAR chat trying to tell people what to do. I let Stevie tell people what to do, and I just follow what he says. So I'm not – listen, I mean, I follow college basketball, but Chop's an aficionado. You know what I'm saying? So if Chop's telling us Texas A&M, we just need to get on Texas A&M and ride that wave. So that's how I feel like I've been successful. I'm smart at what I know, and what I don't know, I listen to people that are smarter than me. It's a very profitable venture.
Yeah, it's important. It's just as much as important to know what you know. It's important to know what you don't know. Unless you're on Twitter, then you know everything. You're an expert in any topic you can think of. You can do that in a couple of minutes or so. What is your assessment here, Will, when it comes to today's slate? Anything overview-wise you want to point out?
I mean, I think when we're going to get this much ownership on a few guys, it's always, I think, wise, in my opinion, to fade some of them. Like I said, I'm not going to have as many Raptors as the field, I don't think. I am going to be loading up on a couple other guys and some other good games. Like, for instance, we got the Raptors and Kings with 233.5 total, but we also have the Pacers and the Pistons with the 235.5 total. And that game isn't getting nearly as much attention overall, I'm saying, as the Sacramento game. Sacramento, I mean, we're getting pretty good ownership on the Raptors, but we're also getting pretty good ownership on the Kings as well. And, so I think, I think that's the tackable game. I think depending on what happens with this Miami Heat game, that could end up being an attackable game. I know that these are two slower teams, two possibly better defensive teams, but both are down some bodies right now. And so even though the defense may be there, the primary players have to play in order for these teams to win. So depending on what happened with Butler and Adebayo, I understand that this game could open up some interesting prospects. And I think that's kind of how it is in every game. Like the Utah Jazz are down a bunch of players as well, but, some of these guys are going to get played, some are not. Are we playing SGA? Are we playing Jalen Williams tonight? Are we playing Chet Holmgren, who I wrote up today? Like that, I just think there's a lot more spots than what the naked eye is seeing, and that's why I'm not thrilled about just loading up on Raptors and calling it a day. I think there are plenty of other things we can do with this slate to make money.
I have not quite figured out what I'm doing, and this hopefully I figured out during the show. Sometimes I come to the show and I have a plan, like this is my favorite play, this is my angle, it's my favorite game. Today I'm pretty fluid, but I do think one of the things I want to do is game stacks. Doesn't have to be a full game stack, but just 9 games, 8 games, 7 of the 8 have at least a 9-point spread or more. If I can just isolate a couple games that are going to be close and get those right. That's at least the plan. We'll try to figure it out as we go. I'm going to skip the Miami-Cleveland game. It's one of the 2 7:00 games. We're going to jump back to it. I just, in the hopes that maybe we get Miami news, but Miami, they're not going to tell us anything. They're going to say Jimmy's a game-time decision, Bam's a game-time decision, and we'll find out like at 6:30 or something like that. Crunch time, we'll find out. But, for now, I'm just going to skip it and talk about the Pacers and the Pistons. One of the bigger totals on the board, 235.5, but the Pacers, again, the theme of the show, 11-point favorites. Scheduled blowout here. Fontecchio, he's got that toe, so he's questionable. Taj Gibson already got hurt. He started the second half last game for an injured Beef Stew. Beef Stew is done for the year, unfortunately. No Isaiah Stewart. Asar Thompson also done for the year, too. Both those guys got rolled out for the season today. So they are really thin. Cade Cunningham, I guess he's fine. He's back from his injury management. They've rested him on island games, too. Theoretically, this is an awesome spot for him. A little bit concerned, like just kind of way they're babying him down the stretch, tank, whatever you want to call it. But Detroit, they're well positioned to get in the bottom 3, so they really don't need to tank anymore. The work's already been done. As far as the Pacers, no Mathurin, he's out for the season. McDermott's upgraded to questionable. I don't think that matters a ton. But Chop, we have a Detroit team that's thin. Also, Halliburton. Did you guys see Halliburton talking about people letting up his mentions? Just people betting props, like just giving him a hard time because he's losing money on DraftKings or whatever, which got to be miserable for an athlete. And like he's talking about seeing a sports psychologist now. He's in like one of the biggest ruts of his career, shooting wise. He's been horrendous shooting from 3. It feels like a spot where you bounce back, but a lot of us have been trying to make Halliburton work. It's been the fetch for the last month or so. It's just not happened. We're trying to make it happen. It feels like it happened tonight versus Detroit. But he's openly talked about it. I saw him the video last night in his locker room, just kind of talking about, people are just lighting me up on Twitter, and it's all about player props. It's like, I don't care about that stuff. Why would he? All right,
Chop, get off Twitter. Pull a LeBron. Just get off social media, lock in, and get ready to hoop for the playoffs. Come back to Twitter later.
Oh, that's today's poll question. There you go. That's today's poll question, and I'll ask you guys this too. Have you ever added a player on Twitter and said, like, you cost me that? You ever added a player and said something negative at a player on Twitter? Be it like they cost you a bet. Now, not like anything positive. You say, oh, thanks, I won 100K because you had an awesome. That doesn't count. But if you ever kind of like a little slanderous a little bit, you cost me a FanDuel parlay. You dope. Like you ever been that guy before? I'm curious if people will be honest about it. You see people do it. Does anybody want to fess up to doing that? Have you ever done that before, Chop? Name names?
No.
These are my confessions.
I've never. I mean, I've added players on Twitter, but it's only positive reinforcement and support. It's never really. I've never.
Oh.
I mean, I think that's stupid to do that. But I mean, to each his own. Dean, I mean, I'll let you know right now, Dean. Between social media and the gambling, and I love to gamble, and I like to look at social media, but these things are going to be the downfall of our society here pretty soon. But it's a different story. I don't want to be a nihilist, but it is what it is, Dean. Like
you out by for Detroit.
Like no, people who get on there and want to like add an athlete and dog them for that, or that's just awful stuff.
You've seen it before, and it's like, hey, come on, what are you doing?
Of course, man, and I don't get it, but it is what it is. So. But no, I don't do that. Just positive reinforcement. If I don't have nothing nice to say to these guys, I don't need to say anything at all.
Will?
Except for Dylan Brooks. That some bitch did something to me at the game, and I didn't like it. But
you didn't say what he did.
So I'm gonna take it to my grave.
Well, what could he have done to you?
These are my confessions.
You were in the front row. Dylan Brooks, was he shooting, like warming up, whatever? He probably wasn't making any shots. That's not what he does.
You're getting warmer out of halftime. But let's move on, Dean. Let Will answer the question. I know Will's got some good stories there.
Will, you got anything?
Nah, man. You know me, Dean. I'm all positivity. I'm trying to get rid of the stupid negativity on social media. Like, just be positive, people. Like, we can be supportive. Like, everything doesn't have to be bad news. And hey, I know I like to color outside of the line sometimes, and that's just how it works. But no, I've never went after a player. But what I will do is when a player helps me win a GPP or a big prop parlay that I've got going, man, will I go and buy a jersey or order a hat or something? It's just that's my great reward to myself for taking it down. So the next 100K, we'll see who helps me get to the finish line, and hopefully that's next week to kick off MLB, and I'll add another jersey to the collection.
Yeah, ever see a player have a really bad game and just like look at their mentions on Twitter? It's gross. Most of it's gross. It's really bad. Fontecchio was just ruled out for Detroit. Taj Gibson was ruled out as well. That's about
Fontecchio is an interesting one, Dean. We're talking about that game right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, listen. That's an interesting one because we may be about to hop back in the NBA time machine yet again. Fournier may be getting some minutes tonight, as he was already starting to get minutes. And I mean, someone mentioned earlier about Isaiah Thomas and Patty Mills. Like, it's that time of the year where all these guys start getting a few extra minutes after they've rested those legs all season. Our good buddy Evan Fournier may, in fact, be in play tonight, depending on where the adjustments come in at.
That might be it for Taj, by the way. I think that was it for Taj's Detroit's. He had like a 6-minute run or something like that. That could be. What's our most memorable moment for the Taj Gibson Detroit Piston regime? We'll have to think about that one day. But I was thinking Amudier is the one that's really. He's already projecting pretty good, and he might get a few more minutes as well. They still have plenty of guys like Flynn might get some more minutes. Troy Brown might get some more minutes. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. I did see him play the other day. Tosan. That's all I got for you, but he might get some run. Curious to see where that lands as far as projections. We currently have Cunningham, Ivy, Amudier, Fontecchio, and Duran starting, but who's going to take Fontecchio's spot?
Yeah, we already had Umude. We already had him playing minutes anyway, so that's why I didn't really mention him. But who knows? Maybe Sasser plays. Maybe, I don't know. But I definitely think Evan Fournier is getting some minutes tonight for this one.
How much run would Sasser get alongside Cunningham is kind of the question, because that's why he sort of thrived last game, because Cunningham wasn't playing. Now he's back. And again, they still have plenty of dudes. They still have 12, 13 guys. There's enough Pistons to go around where they don't necessarily have to elevate one person. Chop, you got a read on this? I know projection team's going to be all over it and updating it in a second, but what's your thoughts? I think Amudier becomes a little bit stronger. It's sort of he's as one of the cheap value plays on the slates. We like the matchup against Indiana. For what it's worth, both of these teams have been playing better defensively of late. Maybe a little more Cade. Is this a breakout Cade game possibly? Duran is today's squad ride pick. If you guys are not aware, if you're not riding with the squad, I think it's 13.5 points. Indiana gives tons of points in the paint. Duran's points in the paint in the season's like 83%, 84%.
You better hop on it now.
Where he lives.
Because the books have probably already pulled some of these Detroit props just to update with the Fontecchio news being out. So he may actually be 14.5 by the time this thing is over. But I'm just saying, it's how they do it. It's how point. It works.
I don't know if Fontecchio is big enough to move the needle, but he might be. He might be big enough.
I mean, Fontecchio's been playing mid-30s minutes. Like he's vacating kind of a lot of production for them right now, just in general.
Oh, they also picked up Chimezie Metu, who I don't know if he has a salary.
Oh, he's not playing today.
According to I'm not saying you're wrong, but according to Jay McInnes, Metu is available for Detroit. Did I miss that news? Is he officially available? I know they picked him up. Maybe he's available to play tonight. Butler in, Bam out. So it might be that's got a two-prong effect, because I think it also Jared Allen I think should benefit tremendously in the absence of Bam on the other side. But Thomas Bryant could possibly get unleashed today. Is he like 3K, Thomas Bryant? Because he could be interesting. Jimmy's in. Jovic is in too. He could play a small ball 5, but it's hard to play that against Allen. Curious to see what Miami does. But and by the way, Miami gave us the news. I'm shocked. Good job, Spo. They actually told us what's happening. And Metu is available to play tonight. So officially, he's passed whatever he needed to pass, and he will be available to play. Former King, right? I think former King. And he might get some run because why not? Like they brought in Taj, he got run right away. The Pistons don't care; they're just playing out the string. But Chop, we excited about any of this? A lot of these names are just nonsense, right?
No, I'm somewhat excited, Dean. As I alluded to in the expert survey today, I don't mind a little Cunningham and Durant. Like it's against Indiana, and they put up some good numbers against Indiana. It's a style of game that should fit their best qualities, as you would say. And I think I'm along with Chief here in that I think Evan Fournier is a great pivot to some of the chalkier guys that are under 4K. I played him last slate. He was a bum, but that was okay. You got to go back to him. So, and I won't add him, and I won't call him a bum on Twitter or nothing like that. But I'll just say though that I had a really good team cooking, and that 10.25 didn't do it for me. I was trying to get away from Brissett that night, and anyway, could have had some other guys, but I'll go back to Fournier tonight. I think it's a garbage team. They're going to give him his 20+ minutes. If he's making his 3-pointers, especially against Indiana, he's going to do fine. But yeah, I don't mind Cunningham or Durant here, man. I think this style of game suits them. They're going to play enough. They may not play 40 minutes, but they'll play enough to get there. Detroit doesn't really have a whole lot left to play for or to lose for. Like you said, they're going to be at the mercy of the lottery balls anyway. So yeah, I'm on board with that. And then on the flip side, I guess a little bit much for Halliburton right now and the way he's struggling. But boy, this is a matchup to get right, man. If you're this is the matchup to get right, so you can go that route. Or with a 123 team total, the highest total in general on the slate, somebody's going to get there for Indiana. Maybe it's Siakam, maybe it's Halliburton, maybe it's McConnell for a pretty good price, really crushing it, like 5-6 times value. I don't know, but I don't mind a run back in some way, shape, or form.
By the way, our projections are up to date. We're giving Troy Brown the starts, and that's just a guess, right? I don't think that's actually been announced, but that's who we're giving the start to there for Detroit. Minutes-wise, 33 for Cunningham. They're not pushing him too hard. 33 for Cunningham, 33 Ivy, 33 Amudier, which feels like if that's the case, he feels really, really good. He's going to land in a lot of lineups. We're giving Fournier 25 minutes. By the way, side note, the Pacers give up the fewest made threes per game because they are a funnel inside. They give up a lot of points. All those points, or a big chunk of those points, come from inside. A lot of that's in transition because of how fast they play. They give up the fewest made three-pointers per game. During 30 minutes, 25 for Fournier, 24 for Brown. This is the problem. Yeah, it's like 22 Sasser. So they're all getting enough where, like, you can tell yourself a story, but none where it's, like, clear and obvious, right? Sasser, 22. Wiseman, 18. Flynn, 4 minutes. What do you got here, Will, as far as the Pistons and the Pacers?
Yeah, I'm with Chop, man. Cade Cunningham was one of my favorite plays on the day, just because, he's getting really low ownership today. And I think this matchup with the Pacers is one that he could get off on. So I like him quite a bit. On the other side, and I do like Jalen Duren as well. But in terms of my favorite play, absolutely Cade Cunningham. He's kind of my, let's call it off the beaten path. From the Pacers side, I'm okay with Halliburton. I like Pascal Siakam a lot more on DraftKings rather than FanDuel. But Aaron Nesmith, they just seem to be committed to playing him 30-plus minutes a game. And so, I think in this spot against Detroit, he's a good play. Not getting a whole lot of ownership. He's a guy that's got, I'm going to call it mid-30s upside at his price. I'm perfectly fine with mid-30s upside. So I like him a great deal. I think he's a good play in this game.
One of my favorite dollar-for-dollar players in this game is McConnell. I think McConnell's somewhat blowout-proof as well. We're only giving him 20 minutes, and he still projects pretty good. Good matchup, good fantasy point-minute player. 20 minutes, about 25 points, the median projection. On the season, his usage at 22%, 1.26 fantasy points per minute. Good distributor, good steals guy as well. And Detroit's a good team to pick on for such things. Asking about Nembhard. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he was asking about Nembhard. If Nembhard beats me tonight, I do this. I say, hey, you got me, buddy. But I'm not. He gets the X button every slate for me. Yeah, he's 30 minutes, but I mean he's very low production. Like you don't want to be hanging your hat on Nembhard at the end of the night when you could have won a tournament, because he's very likely to not help you win. That's my personal opinion.
0.9 fantasy points per minute in the season. Wait, is that 0.9 or 0.8? It's 0.8. My eyes are failing me. Usage 16%. He's not somebody I'm necessarily afraid of. Like, he can catch it every once in a while. He is projected to play 29, 30 minutes or so. But I don't think he beats me. He's fine. Like, as a last man in, I'm not going to blow the lineup up.
I'm not playing him at all. I'm just being honest with you, D. Like, I'm not trying to sugarcoat Andrew Nembhard. You ask me about Nembhard, he doesn't give anybody a hard on. You just keep him out of your bills, all of them. That's my personal opinion. You asked me, I told you. You can decide how you want to handle it.
By the way, 11% of the people in chat have fessed up. Have you ever added a player on Twitter out of hate or anger? 11%. I hesitate to ask, but now I'm curious. Like, who wants to tell us the story? Tell us. Give me the backstory in chat of the 11% of y'all.
Listen, man, you just can't beat Chop in this group chat, bro. Like, it's amazing. Just the quality of posts that come out of this thing. Chop, man. Incredible.
Casey says, can I play McConnell in multiple lineups? I mean, how many lineups are you making? Chop, you have a thought as far as McConnell? And could you play McConnell with Halliburton? Like, they will cross over and play together a little bit, but typically, like, they're both not going to like fully get there, I wouldn't think. You have a thought on that?
Would I play them both? I mean, you're playing like a cash game or something in that of that. You're trying to just, you don't care about any of that stuff, correlations, ownership, or anything. I guess it's fine if you feel good about that, but I probably wouldn't, especially in a GPP. I probably wouldn't. McConnell, I don't know, man.
5 lineups, Chop. Casey's got 5 lineups. Can you play him in 2? I guess you can.
Would I play McConnell? Would I play McConnell into? You know what? It depends on what we're going to see this ownership creep up to. It's right around roughly 15 to 20% right now. I think that's kind of high right now. I think that's kind of high for a guy who's probably going to play about 20 minutes maybe. But if things break his way, I guess I could put him in one lineup. But I don't know, man. I get it, Dean. If you're running cash games, you're just trying to make that lineup, and he's gonna pop in some optimals, or he's going to pop in some content out there that has McConnell listed as a go-to play, a core play or something like that, but probably not up my alley.
I mean, I would play him before I'm playing like Nembhard or what was the nickname?
No doubt about that.
I just think he's got a bigger upside,
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Just the way he has those games, they're sort of hard to predict, where he has, 4 or 5 steals and like 12 assists, and he finds his ways of rebounds. He's not a very good shooter, but he'll get inside sometimes. Okay, let's move on. Miami Heat at the Cavs, the only game tonight that's actually expected to be close, 9 points or less as far as the line. But the total is 205, right? 205 total. Miami is a 2-point dog here. We just got the news that Bam is out. By the way, hit the refresh, boys, on the lineup HQ, because the projection team was on top of it. They got Miami for us. As far as the Heat, no Bam. No Bam tonight. Jovic is in. Duncan Robinson's got that back, so he's not playing. We're not going to see Love for a while. Hero's out. Richardson's out for the season. Cleveland, similar situation. No Strus. No Strus revenge, unfortunately. Mobley's been out for a while, significantly hurting their defense. Mitchell's got that nose, so he can't play. And Dean Wade has a knee, so he is unavailable. We are projecting Thomas Bryant to draw the starts. Rozier, Martin, Butler, Jovic, Bryant. Now, that doesn't mean Bryant's going to close, but that is interesting. Orlando Robinson certainly can start as well. I saw people talk about Orlando Robinson in chat. Jaime Jaquez possibly closes. So maybe one of those guys just, Jovic typically doesn't close. Just sort of throwing it out there. Patty Mills has been getting some run here for the Heat. Our current projection as far as minutes for Miami 34 for Rozier and Butler, 32 Caleb Martin, 30 for Jaquez off the bench, 24 Bryant, 22 Jovic, 18 Robinson, 18 Highsmith, Wright and Mills getting 14. Chop, how do we feel about the Heat now without Bam? Again, tough matchup, tough environment overall, both sides.
How do I feel about the Heat? I like them a lot better now. I probably wasn't going to be on them very much with Bam in there, with everybody healthy. But now I think you could take a shot on wait for the starting lineup. Whoever starts, if it's Jovic or Bryant, that's the guy I want. The other guy I could probably pass on. But I think it probably boosts up a guy like Jaquez a little bit. And, of course, Jimmy, Jimmy's a pretty decent price still. And he's had a few games in a row where it hasn't gone his way. But before that, he had like 2 weeks where he was just crushing it. So he's streaky like that. And it's a pretty good game. And like you said, it's a 1-point spread or whatever it is right now. So, yeah, I like Miami a little bit more. Probably like Jaquez a little bit more without Bam. I think he probably gets a little bit of a boost there. I think he's a nice, safe play now, and without Kevin Love either. So, yeah, I think there's potential there for the Miami side.
Thomas wants to know Jovic, Bryant, or Robinson. I think Bryant's probably the best play amongst them.
I'll wait to see who's starting. It's honestly, That's it.
Yeah.
The starting lineup is my guy. Otherwise, I'm going to pass on him.
Yeah, there's a real chance that Bryant starts and Robinson finishes. That's also a possibility, I think. Jump in here, Will. Your thoughts as far as Miami?
Yeah, I mean, I do have some interest in Jimmy Butler now, and that's kind of why I want to wait for the news. I may even have some interest in Terry Rozier. I'll probably have some interest in all of these guys, but I'm with you. I do want to see where the starting lineup lands for the big man. I know, like you said, we've got Bryant projected. I don't think we really need to worry about Jaquez. And what I mean by that is we know he's going to play 30 minutes. So it's not like he's not a secret. He's not someone that we don't think is going to play minutes. So, I do want to get something official on Bryant. Bryant it feels scary, but Bryant is probably somebody I will fade if we don't get any hard concrete news, right before which we should. I believe we'll get a lineup. But I'm more than willing to fade. Yeah, I'm more than willing to fade Thomas Bryant the same way I'm more than willing to fade Craig Porter Jr. Like we keep Craig Porter from Cleveland. We keep trying to make him a thing. He's not a thing. Like just quit playing him. Leave him out of your builds. But like I said, for me, that's kind of what I'm going to do with Bryant. If we don't get anything concrete, I'm fine leaving him out. I can find somewhere else to make up the gap in value. And not that I don't like Bryant. I really want a hard confirmation that he's going to play.
Yeah, he's gonna play. It's if he starts or not. I think he's gonna play. Gonna get some run. As far as the Cleveland side, Will, I think Jared Allen is a really interesting play. I know owner stuff's might change a little bit. He's currently at 1%. If he's like 5%, the difference between playing against Bam or playing against Thomas Bryant or Robinson, a more longer, a little more defensive minded, but. Jovic can play a stretch 5 if he had to. I think Allen is a really, really interesting tournament play if that's the case. Again, bad environment, but he's probably going to play 35, 36, 37 minutes if this game stays close. I love him for tournaments, and I'm curious your thoughts as far as Allen and the Cavs all together. LeVert is the other guy that's getting the role obviously is spectacular. The matchup against Miami, not so much. But your assessment of the Cavs, Will.
I like the Cavs tonight. As I was mentioning, I think, this game has the potential to be a close, tight game. I like Jared Allen. I like Karis LeVert. I like Darius Garland. I think all three of those guys, have the potential to have some nice performances tonight. I know our projections aren't as high as probably as I am, but I do like these guys. They're not too expensive. I mean, Garland 77 on FanDuel, LeVert 78, Allen 85. They got a little, it's a low price tag to them, but it's not like we're paying $9K for everybody. So I'm more than willing to play these guys because I think all production levels aren't created equal. And I think for this team to win, those three guys have to give them massive production for them to come out with a W. So I like these Cavaliers players.
Yeah, meaningful game for Miami. They're still on the outside looking in as far as the play-in nonsense. They're in the 8th spot, but they're only one game behind Philadelphia in the 6th. every game down the stretch matters. Cleveland, they're not going to catch them, but Cleveland certainly jockeying for position. They're currently in the 3 spots. Chop, what do you got as far as the Cavs?
Yeah, they're, just in general, a little bit better with Bam out. They're a little bit better to be able to play with Bam out, especially Jared Allen, who would have been a fade. Now I think you can play him and hope he gets back to that 35-minute mark. Pretty good matchup. And I think the price tag on Karis LeVert, and like it's creeping up now to where it's close enough to Garland to where I'd rather just play Garland. I mean, gosh darn it, man. I got burned on that one the other night. And Karis keeps producing, but eventually it's got to swing to Darius. So I'm going to go Darius over LeVert at this price tag on DraftKings. Jared Allen is a fine play. The rest of these guys I have no interest in.
Okay, let's move on. Milwaukee and Boston, 225.5 is the total. This is the first half of the ESPN doubleheader. Boston, we don't really know about. It is an island game, but they did give questionable tags to both Drew Holiday, shoulder, and Jaylen Brown. He's got an ankle. Sam Hauser also has an ankle, a legit ankle. Horford, it's not the back half, but back-to-back, so he's available. He's not on the injury report. As far as Milwaukee, they ruled out Giannis. They gave him a hamstring, despite them saying that he's fine. Otherwise, they're fully healthy. Beauchamp is available. We saw Portis go off a couple days ago, but like his price is kind of bumped up to where it kind of should be. Certainly Lillard is going to be his role is going to be awesome here versus Boston. As long as this game stays close, it's hard to say the Boston stuff, but it's whoever is last man standing. If we happen to get Brown and Holiday ruled out, White is, I think it was his first career triple-double last time. They kept him in extra long for that, like 30-point, 35-point lead. He had to get one more assist before they gave him the hook. Kristaps Porzingis played, I think, 6 minutes in the first half. They were definitely managing his minutes. So I need him for the playoffs. This game does not matter so much. So I probably wouldn't play him because I just don't think they're going to push him too hard. Jump in here, Will. Milwaukee, Boston. Is there anything we like right now? Certainly there's some tournament stuff, especially with Lillard and Portis on the Milwaukee side.
Unless Boston shows me that they're taking their foot off the gas, Dean, I have watched the Boston Celtics sit 3 starters and blow teams out by 25 this season. I have seen them sit 1 starter and blow teams out by 30. I've seen them sit all the starters and still win by 20. Look, man, this is a good spot for Dame. Like, I'm not telling anybody to fade Dame. I can't in good conscience tell you to fade Dame knowing that he's going to be the leader of the charge. And if this game stays close, he's probably the reason why. I'm not telling you to do it, but I'm not playing any Milwaukee Bucks today, and I'm borderline not playing any Boston Celtics. I may end up with 0 of them unless, a lot of guys got to sit for me to get there today. I think Boston just continues to win this thing, and that's just my stance on this game. And I could absolutely be wrong, but I feel comfortable just taking a full fade on Milwaukee and Boston in this particular spot.
Yeah, I think the Boston thing, if everybody plays, if Brown, Holiday, and Hauser are all in, like it's hard to play any of them. But if they're all out, then all of a sudden stuff opens up. So stay tuned. Really can't give analysis on that. Chop, you got anything different as far as the Boston and Milwaukee?
No, I mean, not really. I'm thinking about trying to pull up and see.
Crowder revenge game?
Revenge in what way? Like, did he used to play for Boston? Didn't he get knocked out in Boston one time? Like J.R. Smith backhanded him.
Literally knocked out?
Literally. I want to say J.R. Smith like backhanded him in a playoff game and knocked him out to where he like was literally knocked out, and in the process of falling to the ground, just tore up his knee or something like that. Yeah. So it might be a revenge game for this guy, man. I don't know. We might have some bad memories there, but I'm similar to Chief. When these guys are all healthy for Boston, if they're not going to rest anybody, man, this is tough to figure out who it's going to be and put up these numbers. And then it could be a couple guys, but it's not the guys you think it is. So I'm going to not take Boston if they're fully healthy. If they start, if they want to sit Jaylen Brown, I can go Derek White. If they want to sit, Jason Tatum, I can go Porzingis. I'll adjust then, but with everybody healthy, don't want them. For Milwaukee, you're talking about even like Chief was saying, whoever they sit, it doesn't matter. They still have this good defense. I kind of don't want to pay 9,100 for Dame against Boston. So even though some of the optimals are going to put him in there because he is getting a good projection with Giannis out, I'm going to pass on that. The rest of them don't really like Portis. Yeah, you know what? Portis had a great game against them last time out because it was a 30-point blowout and he got a lot of garbage runs. So if that happens again, maybe he's the guy. Maybe he gets it again. But same could be said for Jay Crowder. But otherwise, yeah, I don't want any Milwaukee and I don't want any Boston if they're healthy.
Okay, Kings, Raptors, 233.5 is the total. Sacramento, is that the biggest total on the board individually? 122.5. They're 11-point favorites in Toronto. They did lose Kevin Huerter to a shoulder. Trey Lyles is still out. Vezenkov, there's a chance he was going to come back. He's not coming back just yet. Toronto is still without Barnes, Pirtle, Boucher, Quickly, Barrett. Terrible story for him. So, yeah, Toronto, there's not a lot of starters that are still left standing. We're projecting Bruce Brown, Gary Trent, Grady Dick, Agbaji, and Kelly O to run some point center, or maybe Bruce Brown runs some point. He could be the point guard. We're expecting Keon Ellis to draw the start for Sacramento to jump in there for Huerter. I believe he's the guy that started the second half for Sacramento last time out when Huerter got hurt, essentially in the first minute or two in that game. Monk has been spectacular, but he's priced up. Off the bench for Toronto, we're seeing like Nwora looking kind of sort of somewhat interesting. Jonte Porter is projecting pretty well as well. Sabonis, as far as raw points, certainly, sure. But if you have one big spend, is he the guy you want? Chop, you tell me. Sacramento, Toronto, lots of Toronto stuff hitting optimals before. Curious to see how that's changed with new news coming in. Where are you at right now?
Let me see here. Toronto. What's interesting about Toronto is they very well could lose their first round draft pick to the Spurs this year. If it's protected, but if it's
they want to keep losing, yeah.
Yeah, if it falls outside that top like 5 or something, I forget what it is, but they're going to lose it.
I think it's 7 protected.
They're going to lose it to the Spurs. That would be rough, and that'd be great if the Spurs. Imagine the Spurs get 2 like top 10 picks again. They're cooking, and
that's how they got to build. They don't get free agents.
Yeah, and so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I think Toronto total tank job here. I do not mind Bruce Brown. I do not mind. I don't mind any of these guys. I can't really want to see. I have on my list right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential Raptors you could play. I'm with Chief. I'm not going to play 4 of them in the same lineup. I can mix and match if I'm doing multi-entry, which I'm not. I'm doing one lineup, and I'll probably max it out at 3 of these guys, but I could see 3 of them just because they're so cheap and they're just offering a lot of value and some upside because Sacramento's not been particularly good this year. On the flip side, it's going to be a halfway competitive game. Sabonis keeps smashing. Fox is good. And Malik Monk with Kevin Huerter out. Malik Monk is a guy that you can play, feel pretty good about. And Keegan Murray is a distant 4th, but he is a 4th.
All right, we'll jump in here. They're talking about chat Nwora being the value play of the night on DK. I don't know. I think he's play. I think Amudier right now is the value play on Detroit. I think he's probably the best value play. Nwora, sure. I don't know how his minutes are not as secure. It's kind of like would be my angle in that. Amudier for Detroit, I think, are much more secure minutes than Nwora. Nwora, pretty decent chance he doesn't start. Like we said, we have him coming off the bench probably for 25 minutes or so. Let me go ahead and pull that up. As I do that, let me go ahead and throw it to Will. Toronto, Sacramento.
Yeah, so ironically, once again, I'm just not going to be loading up on Toronto in terms of maxing at 5, maxing at 4 on DraftKings and FanDuel. But I do think this is a really good game stack tonight because I do really like Sabonis. I think Sabonis could eat here. As long as this game is close enough, Sabonis can put together a massive performance. Once again, he's getting 30% ownership on FanDuel. I need to check DraftKings and see where that ownership is on him. But I still like him. I think he's one of the better big spins tonight. Once again, as long as the game is close. Bruce Brown, I'm not going to convince anyone to not play Bruce Brown. I think Bruce Brown's a great play tonight on both sides. He's definitely one of the Raptors I would be playing. I think Gary Trent is probably the other Raptor that I would feel most comfortable with. I know he's 6,300 on FanDuel, but I still feel okay. I think he's got, 35 to 40 point upside here in this particular spot. I mean, we got to assume he's going to shoot the ball 20 times, in this spot, maybe. I'm going to assume 20 times, and so that's why I feel much better about playing Gary Trent, and I think Bruce Brown is more do it all. I think Jontay Porter's fine. He doesn't need a lot of minutes to produce. He might be my other consideration. I know Grady Private Parts is going to play a lot of minutes, and I know Kelly Olynyk's going to play a lot of minutes, but I'm just, those guys I'm okay fading. Jordan Nwora, I'm okay fading him too. Bruce Brown and Gary Trent are absolutely my top two. And if I make it to a third, it might be Jontay Porter just because of the situation. But I do think this game is stackable. I think on FanDuel specifically, man, I think you can get Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox together. No problems. I think Keegan Murray's a good play as well. He's been playing really nice minutes. But yeah, all in all, I really like this game. I'm just not going to be overpopulating the Raptors into my bills. I will be playing Brown and Trent Jr. though.
Drew Holiday unlikely to play according to coach. I assume that means he's out. They're calling it a shoulder. Yeah, I assume he's going to get scratched. I'm not sure if we're getting news on all the Celtics or just Holiday. We'll get them one at a time.
Yeah,
several questions.
House is probably not going to play either.
Yeah, he legit turned his ankle a couple of games ago, so he probably sits again, and that could change some stuff. Maybe we'll circle back. If we don't circle back, of course, crunch time, they will talk about it. Nick wants to know, is Lillard a must in DK Cash? I don't think so. No. No. Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a must at all. I mean, I'll tell you who are we have Fox coming up pretty hard in point guard for DK. SGA, we haven't talked about him just yet. Brown is actually the guy, but you're probably playing him at small forward as opposed to point guard. He's the one that's hitting the most largest percentage of my optimals. Chop, you have a thought as far as Lillard versus Fox in FanDuel Cash? That's another one where I don't know if either are being. I think Fox is the one. Yeah, Fox, SGA, Lillard, Halliburton is like the first four as far as the ones that are hitting my lineups percentage wise. You have a take when it comes to Lillard and Fox. Fox feels safer, but Lillard's probably got a little bit more ceiling to him.
Between those two specifically, it's probably lean towards Fox, but you know what, Dean? If I'm in that neighborhood, $9K for Fox, $9,100 for Lillard, I'm probably playing $8,900 Halliburton, even though it doesn't feel like a cash game play. It's not bad. Like, I'd probably rather have that against Detroit and let him get back on track.
Also, the Milwaukee-Boston game more likely to stay close if we lose Holiday, and it looks like Hauser's going to be out too. So, I don't know if that line's going to move much. It's an 11-point line right now. ESPN game. Dame becomes a little bit more interesting, and now like you can play Dame and run it back with one of the Boston guys. He's one of the Boston guys with, the absence of Holiday, the absence of Hauser. Maybe Brown doesn't go as well. So we're going to have some plays that look pretty interesting, but stay tuned as far as that. 5 minutes, we're going to be spinning the wheel. I'm not sure if we're still taking submissions. Producer Steve's been compiling the names. Maybe you can get in there the last second in the Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord. The live stream chat channel, just hit the avatar. You get yourself eligible for 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium. We're going to give away one, possibly two, pending the likes. So get those likes up as well. Hit that like button. Smash it, caress it, whatever you do, your additive of choice. We do want the thumb to go up, though. Let's see if we can sneak in one more game before we bring in Steve. And I think it's just kind of a catch-me-up game. It's the Jazz and the Thunder. Wait for it. Another potential blowout. As far as the Thunder, they're pretty healthy. They're fully healthy, in fact. Nobody on their injury report. Utah, they are healthy, but they're not playing. That will be, well, at least I think Lauri Markkanen's out for injury maintenance. Clarkson's still out with his groin. And John Collins still feeling great shame to his face. He is officially questionable because Ant dunked on him the other night. Will, another potential blowout here. Prices have mostly adjusted for Utah. I love SGA. Oh, I mean, he's like just, he feels like 50 points is like I don't want to say his floor, but he's just such a rock. And of course, the ceiling there. And the matchup against Utah is spectacular too. Hopefully, this game stays close if you play him. Utah and OKC. This is kind of like what I was talking before. Like, just tell yourself this one's not going to blow out. This one is going to blow out. You're just going to make your rosters like that accordingly. How are you handling the Thunder and the Jazz?
Yeah, I mean, I like this game. Once again, I think there are pieces you can pull in, like Hendricks on FanDuel at 5,100. I think is really good. He's a guy that I like, no matter what. I really want to get to Jalen Williams today. But I mean, the price has just come up, a little bit too much. I will say this though, Chet Holmgren on DraftKings, 7,200. Really good price on him today. I think that's an ultimate tournament investment, especially when everyone's probably going to start paying down a little bit. They might want to get some Thomas Bryant. They may try to get creative and play someone a little cheaper. They might play a little bit of Jonte Porter. But Chet Holmgren, man, 7,200 on DraftKings. One of my top plays of the day. I really like this spot. He should be able to get off against Utah. And not just in the rebound, in the scoring, blocks, assists. I just think his all-around game, he should be able to dominate, especially with Laurie Markkinen continuing to sit. He kind of facing the B squad if John Collins sits. Even though I know Walker Kessler is an NBA ball player, don't get me wrong, but I mean, he's just going to step out and bomb threes and catch his face all day. So I like Chet at 7,200. I think he's a real good tournament play. Not to take anything away from SGA, is the SGA probably about as consistent as they come, Chop, from a fantasy perspective? Like, he's not like putting up 70 every day, but I mean, he's pretty much 50, 55. I mean, God, almost every start. It's incredible, really, and pretty much an automatic 30 real points. So I like SGA. He's getting some ownership, though, because I mean, he's one of the better big spins tonight.
Chopper?
I often think back, Dean, on different things in the NBA's history and the different trades. Man, what a colossal screw up by the Clippers that was. Now, I know they didn't expect that guy to be that good, but not only did you go SGA for Paul George, you gave him 5 first-rounders also. Like, that was just crazy.
5?
Man. It was 5 first-rounders at
it was
the
a
end
lot.
of the day.
Yeah.
So, SGA, man, he's just a baller. He's just really good. You can play him any day you want. Jalen Williams, I think, is an awesome play for that team. They've just got a lot of good young talent. Like Chief said, Chet is an awesome player. When he puts it together on the defensive end during these games, he is a GPP winner. So they're all good. And Utah's absolutely, they're done. Like, guys are hurt. They're no longer incentivized to win. They're going to tank and they're donezo. So it's going to be a blowout. So you just have to try to withstand the blowout here. It will be a blowout, though. Because of that, I kind of tend to lean towards some of these Utah guys more that would probably play more even in a blowout. Because once we get up to 30 points here, SGA and Jalen and Chet are coming out. So I don't mind the Utah side though. With the backcourt, pretty good. Sexton, pretty consistent. George, pretty decent. Kessler, if John Collins misses tonight, Kessler. I wrote something about Taylor Hendricks earlier. He's a solid player, man. Like, young guy, he's still young. He's going to get more run down the stretch. 3-and-D guy. He could get run in this blowout. He might start. Even if he doesn't, he's going to play in the rotation, and then he's going to probably finish the game too, regardless of the score. I don't mind Taylor Hendricks.
I'll tell you, if Collins doesn't play, and we have an if-then, Kessler would get a 29-point DK projection, a 30-point FanDuel projection. The reason why that FanDuel projection is higher is because he is a good block guy, right? So, blocks are worth more points on FanDuel. And great rebounding spot against OKC. That's their one thing they can't do, is they can't rebound the ball. Kessler's pretty interesting. He's like the one guy that I think is pretty appealing on Utah. If the game stays close, sure, Sexton, but you were talking about the game possibly getting blown out. That's why I have a hard time clicking the Sexton button. And I think Kessler would stick around a little bit longer in a blowout just because he doesn't tend to get starters minutes as is. They don't push these guys too hard anyway, but maybe he plays 27, 28, 29 as opposed to 30 if Collins is out. All right. Anything else we should mention in this game? I think that we pretty much got it. There was a question. Can we play Chet and Cash? Didn't specify a site.
If it's DraftKings, for sure.
Yeah. The other question I saw, which I thought was pretty interesting, Porter or Bryant, assuming Bryant's starting, Jonte Porter or Bryant. I think Porter projects like a tick higher. You have a lean on that, Will? Well, I don't have the salary for Jets. We live in the world of a salary cap.
I probably feel better about Jonte Porter because I know what his role is. I know what his role is versus Bryant, in my opinion. Oh, and I meant to mention this too, Dean. I know I said Williams was expensive. That was more so FanDuel specific. DraftKings, he's 6,900. Like, I think the Thunder guys have probably been adjusted because of, like Chop said, the anticipated blowout. But this is a little bit too cheap for these guys. Like, Holmgren could get 40, Jalen Williams could get 40, and they'd still be fine, I think. So I really like those guys for what it's worth. I just want to drive that point home. Those are two of my favorites on the slate, especially on DraftKings, that is, Williams and Holmgren.
Let's give out some premium. Jaylen Brown officially in, Drew Holiday out, Sam Hauser out, as expected on those two. And according to Coach Porzingis, not expected to have a minutes limit. Okay, that's interesting. Steve, what's up? Welcome to the show. Did we get enough likes to give away a second, a second helping of RG Premium to somebody?
Nope.
That's it. Okay.
That's it. That's it.
Do we have like a 30-second window to get those up, or that's it? It's a no, and it's a hard no.
Yeah, I guess we could do like 20 seconds, but I doubt we're gonna get 40 likes that fast.
Jeez, disappointing. It's embarrassing.
We have 110 people vote, so we should have 110 likes at least.
You got the ability to click on one thing. You got the ability to click on another thing. Is what you're saying.
Oh my gosh.
Let's give it a whirl, Steve.
It's gone up. I'm giving them a few more seconds. It's going up.
Maybe in the mid spin they'll get excited.
How many likes are we at right now? How many likes are we at right now?
It just jumped up. Oh, we're 8 away now. It just jumped up 40 likes.
So what are we at though?
Hard.
92.
That's it.
That's it.
All right, guys. I didn't want to have to do this.
1,596 people watching overall.
I didn't want to have to do this, but I'm going to give away a perfect first round bracket. A perfect first round bracket. I know all.
Hold on, there's a catch. There's got to be.
I know all 32 winners in the first round matchups based on my data. But I'm going to need 900 likes by the end of the show.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go right now.
Let's get it.
Let's get it right now.
All right, we caught up on the likes at least for the wheel, so I'll give out 2.
So, but we don't have enough likes for Chops. 32 winners, not just yet.
No, we need 800 more likes before Chops.
We can do it.
Bait and switch, Chop.
Before crunch time gets here, let's get it. I like that music.
One of these days, we got to get Will to bust out his piano or a keyboard.
Will plays the piano?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah,
Shout out to Chili.
I studied music in college. That's what my
you're a little Elton John over there, man.
No, better than Elton John. Let's
Liberace. Little Liberace.
Better than it's a bold proclamation, sir.
Snow Fighter. That's a big one.
Right.
That's a big one.
Congratulations to you guys. I'll shoot you a message over in the Discord.
Yeah, get your DMs open there. Producer Steve's going to go ahead and slide in, hook you all up with some RG Premium. About 10, 15 minutes or so, we got Crunch Time coming in. Who's coming in on Crunch Time? Taylor Smith. You got Keith Eyster, and, of course, Kevin Roth is holding it down. 3 games to go. Philadelphia's taking on the Suns. Guess what? It's another potential blowout. Suns are 9-point favorites here versus the 76ers. They're at home. And who's expected in? Who's expected out for this one? Well, Tobias Harris officially questionable. Embiid, we know, is out. Phoenix is pretty healthy. Josh Okogie's out. That's been the standard. Damian Lee's out. Isaiah Thomas, IT2, is available and will be in uniform. I'm not sure if he's going to get any minutes, but good for him. And Bull is good to go with his ankle. Chop, this game's happening, but I don't think anybody's playing anybody in this game. Certainly you can play Booker and you can play, Durant if you want. Maxey, sure. But as I'm seeing things, no priorities. Looks pretty uneventful. Not saying you can't play it, but where are you at? Philadelphia and Phoenix. Kind of a snooze fest.
Snooze fest, Dean. I agree with you. Snooze fest, man. For the Philly side, Maxey would be maybe the one guy I'm kind of looking at that I could play. He's expensive, and he's maybe that's your point guard in cash games as opposed to Fox and Halliburton and those other guys and Lillard. Maybe it's Maxey because Phoenix isn't that great defensively anyway. Maxey taking on that big burden. So yeah, maybe Maxey's a good play. The rest of those guys, they don't do it. Somebody in the chat said Oubre revenge. He doesn't like Devin Booker. Maybe okay. I don't.
Did you see the reason why? I wasn't aware of this.
Yeah,
Apparently, they both had a thing with Kendall Jenner. I don't.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
I don't read the tabloids.
It makes sense. There was actually rumors, Dean, earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Now I don't like to speculate, but where there's smoke, there's fire. When Kelly Oubre missed that time, and they said it was a car accident. He got hit by a car.
Yeah,
it had something to do with that situation. I'm not saying
there was some ring footage that came out.
Booker was driving the car or anything, but so yeah, maybe he's really pissed tonight, and but that's fine. He was a good play. I mean, he's a decent play anyway. So Oubre, Maxey on that side. Phoenix, it's tough, man. When these guys are all relatively healthy and playing, they're all good. They're all solid. They're all take a lot of shots. Booker, Durant, Beal, and even Nurkic you can spin in there, and none of them are cheap. So if you have to twist my arm, it's probably Beal because he's the cheapest of all of them, and he puts up good numbers. And it's a really condensed team. There's not that many guys that are going to do very much minute-wise and usage-wise. So it's all four of those guys. Yeah, but I'm with you. It's not a super appealing game. I don't know if I'll end up with anybody from this game. In my one lineup, I'm running on DraftKings.
I don't think I will either, but I'm not making a ton of lineups. Maxey, I think, is pretty interesting. Like, if Harris gets rolled out, he's going to get all the usage in the world. The usage is already good as is, but probably a little bit more of an increased chance of a blowout. Lowry projects pretty well if we lose Harris, but do I really want to play Kyle Lowry? Probably not. Will, anything you want to sell us on as far as Philadelphia and Phoenix?
Negative. I think I'm just with everybody else here. If Harris is out, I don't mind Oubre, but this is not a game that I'm thrilled about having to roster anybody. I mean, Phoenix should win this game pretty handily. I'm not expecting Tyrese Maxey to become Joel Embiid and score 35 points and carry this team to a win. He could score 35 points; they could still lose by 20. So I'm not really thrilled about this game.
It is a triple-pronged late-night hammer. 3 games coming in at 10 o'clock. That is one of them, kind of a whimper. Let's see if I can sell y'all on Memphis. Memphis taking on the Warriors. 219 is the total. Golden State is an 11-point favorite. Golden State fully healthy. When Golden State is fully healthy, I'm fully uninterested, mostly. Yeah. Memphis is not healthy. You sitting down? Aldima's questionable. Vince Williams almost likely, very likely is going to be out. He's doubtful. No Pippen, no Stevens, no Watanabe, no Kennard. The rest of them haven't been there for a while. They are really thin. So they only have 10 guys, unless they do some G League stuff that I'm not aware of. They only have 10 guys, and that's including Aldama, who's questionable. So they might get knocked down to 9. So if you want to sell yourself on a Bane or something like that, this is the back half of the ESPN doubleheader as well. That does anything for you. But, you could tell yourself a story on some of these Memphis guys just because the minutes – will be there. Triple J, GG Jackson would probably play a fair bit. But, Will, Memphis, Golden State, does this game do anything for you?
I mean, I don't hate Triple J. I don't hate Desmond Bane. All spots aren't created equal when, if Ja Morant was there and Marcus Smart was there and Steven Adams were there. I probably would not pay these prices for Bane and Jared Jackson because they wouldn't be as impactful. But it's a matchup with the Warriors. I'm not saying Memphis is going to come out here and win or anything, but if this game is reasonably close, you have to think Desmond Bane and Jared Jackson are the reasons that these guys are competing. So I don't hate sprinkles of them in tournaments. You're not getting a whole lot of ownership on them anyway. So I'm all aboard the Desmond Bane and Jared Jackson train.
Yeah, it's not hard to get over the field on that. Let's see our ownership stuff. Want to see when we got the most recent update. 612. So we just got it. Okay, and as far as this game, the most popular player is GG Jackson at 13%, Bane at 10%. This is DK for what it's worth. LaRavia at 6%, Steph at 5%. Yeah, it's going to be pretty uneventful as far as ownership. Chop, Memphis, Golden State.
Yeah, These are not the late night hammers we've grown accustomed to, Dean. Golden State when they're healthy like this. Yeah, I kind of don't want to mess around and take anybody there. Nothing looks interesting or appealing. Memphis is a little bit more appealing. I don't mind Jaren Jackson for the upside or Desmond Bane for the upside. And yeah, that's probably where I'm limited. I mean, for some reason, I am getting a little bit of GG Jackson in some of my optimals, but I could probably pass on that. It's not like a super exciting play, but especially at $6,000, I don't want to. I'd rather it be a little cheaper. But Jaren Jackson, Desmond Bane for upside at that price tag is fine. But this game doesn't look all that great.
All right, Clippers, Blazers, the third of the 3 10 o'clock games. Another one that's not spectacular on paper, 216s in total. That's not terribly exciting. Portland is a 13-point home dog. Now they got a midday downgrade to Anthony Simons, who's questionable. Thibault's questionable. They were already without Grant. I guess Grant's officially doubtful. Jeremy Grant, that is. No Sharp, no Brogdon. So like stuff can open up, I guess, for the Portland side. We've seen DeAndre Ayton play spectacular of late. The big 3 for the Clippers, they're all, good to go. Harden, George, and Leonard, they've been in and out for a while, but they're all expected to be available tonight. Terrence Mann, questionable with the shoulder. Norm Powell's got a leg, so he's questionable. Russ out for a while. No Westbrook. How about the third one? Does the third one do anything for you here, Will, as far as the Clippers and the Blazers, or is this just another sort of kind of whimper when it comes to the late night hammer?
Well, I mean, if you believe in the fact that DeAndre Ayton is just going to keep, putting up massive fantasy performances against everybody in the league, then I think you need to be considering playing Ayton, even though the prices come up. I mean, when the guy's putting up close to 50 fantasy points or more a game, I don't think that's something we can sneeze at. So I'm fine running some Ayton out of this matchup, but that's about it for me. I don't want to commit to anything else. But listen, I'm just telling you, that's purely because Ayton has become Shaquille O'Neal over the past 2 weeks. That's really all this is.
Yeah. I'll tell you what's interesting is, and if you can save some stuff for it, I don't look at the news as far as Simons, or if then for Simons, we have Ayton, Henderson, and Banton all being pretty strong positive values. The Scoot, we're projecting 35 DK points if Simons is out. Banton 35 DK points as well. The price on Scoot is currently 5.4. Not a great shooter, but the opportunity will certainly be there. And Banton 5.6. So both those guys would be good math plays if we happen to lose Simons. But when do we get that news? Possibly 8:30, an hour and a half before the game. When does the last game lock before these last 3 games? 8:30. So, some interesting decision points possibly. No, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is Utah OKC. So you're probably not going to get Portland news until it's just the 3 games left. And you might be left stranded there with, trying to figure some stuff out. So plan accordingly. We do have a crunch time coming in here momentarily. I believe they are ready and good to go. Fairly certain. This will be the time they would show up. I am stalling and just saying little sentence fragments just to get the confirmation from producer Steve that they are ready. I'm going to keep stalling. And I believe they're good to go. Let's just count and maybe they will magically appear. 3, 2, 1. What is up, Kevin Roth? Happy Wednesday. You probably caught the back end of the show. Did we sound excited about these games? Not so much.
No, you did not. I got to tell you, I'm not crazy about the count-in, Dean. The 3-2.
Oh.
I'm not crazy about the count-in.
Okay, well, I'm open to suggestions.
Because you do like a 3-2-1, we don't just appear. Then they run like the stinger, and then it's like a delay. I just don't know if the count-in is the move. Now you do.
What about a point? What about just a
no? Dean, here's how you do this.
Okay,
you said, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from a theater near you. Here's our crunch time crew. That's your cue. The stuff comes in. They show up. You just got to give them a verbal cue. It doesn't. What
they're
I'm
not talking. That's misleading. That's just a lie. They're not a theater.
Dean, listen. Roth is used to professional production. They don't just say 3, 2, 1. Here's the weatherman when he's on. They
don't say weatherman.
Okay?
You call him weatherman. He'll give you the stink eye.
You get what I'm saying, Dean. Like D, you're better than this. You're the greatest DFS host of our generation. You can do something better than 3, 2, 1.
I've told many people that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's been a rough generation. But thank you. That's very kind of you to say that. But I'm going to try. You know what? Every single day I'm going to try something different and see what sticks. But I will take we'll see. Maybe chat will pick. They'll kind of vote on it one of these days. So we will do the theater gimmick. And Ross, what was your suggestion? Or was it just whatever we're doing that was bad, but you have nothing like this is what you should do?
No,
something other than 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to stomp out your creative juices. I just want to let you know, I know you can be better than that. I know you're better than that, Dean. You're better than a countdown.
I'm not married to 3, 2, 1. To be clear, I don't love it. It's at best, it's like a D+.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just muscle memory. I've done it too many times. But all right, we got to give the people the feel it in the plums play before we step aside and make way for crunch time. I will let Will set the line. Who do you feel in the plums tonight? Your feel in the plums play is who?
I'm going with. I'm going to give it to you on 2 different sites. FanDuel, I'm going with Cade Cunningham. I think he's going to absolutely have a monster game tonight as they close out the season, because eventually he may not even be playing basketball. He's going to get some phantom injury. They're going to sit him for the season. No need to mess up their future. On DraftKings, I really, really, really like Chet Holmgren tonight at 7,200. Think he's a little bit underpriced for this spot against Utah, and I don't think he's going to get as much ownership as he should in the end because of all these cheap centers that people are going to try to be jamming in.
See it, raise it. What do you got, Chop?
Just one player. I'm rolling with Malik Monk tonight. Malik Monk. I just think the absence of Herter, pretty easy game. I don't think Sabonis and Fox need to exert themselves too much. So I think Malik Monk takes over and gets some scoring tonight, and I'm going with Monk.
I'm going to add in Jared Allen. I think the sneaky domino effect of Miami without Bam, it's a drastic downgrade for the Miami defense, especially inside, be it Thomas Bryant, Orlando Robinson, Jovic playing a big 5. I think Jared Allen has himself a big night. That is it. We're going to yield to crunch time. You got Kevin Roth. You got Taylor Smith. You have Keith Eyster. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. As always, Dean. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. It is crunch time. And you know the drill, and you know the faces as well. You've been seeing a lot of them. We got Taylor in the house. What up, man?
Not much. Glad to be back. Nice little 8-gamer tonight, and looking forward to getting into it with you fellas today.
Very good. We got Ice running it back again, maybe for the 18th night in a row. What's up, Ice?
Just 3 in a row for me, but yeah, been seeing a lot of you lately. Good to be back. Fun little slate here. I think there's a lot of widespread, so that's definitely going to factor in. We're kind of seeing a lot of that as we come down the stretch of the season here, but plenty of value all over the place, and still some news we're waiting on too.
Okay. Well, last night I was like, I know one guy who's not going to sink me. It's Wemby, and I'll figure out and he's the dude who sunk me, Ice. What the hell?
Yeah, I mean, just didn't quite get it done for us. I had a bunch of him too, so didn't work out.
He killed me. And I told everyone, and I called people crazy for not playing him. I was really on one.
You're badgering Tim about liking Jokic over him.
I was heckling Tim about it, and then he just totally let us all down. Well, we're going to do better. At least, I mean, we probably did fine. My call was poor. Let's dive into it here. Let's see, kind of catching up. Yeah, we look good. Taylor, let's talk about what has happened, what could still happen, and then dive into a build.
Sounds good. Yeah, so we've gotten plenty of news. Bam is out. Jimmy's in. Got that from Miami. Jaylen Brown also in. Drew Holiday and Sam Hauser out. So we think Pritchard's going to start again there for Boston. A few outstanding things. Oh, we got Giannis out this morning. That's obviously a big one too on the other side of the Boston game. A few news items we're waiting on. Simon's got the midday downgrade. I feel like that happens once a week with him. I think this is a knee, so we'll see. That's a late game. We do have the late games tonight, so that's cool. Gonna have to wait on that, I assume. Draymond Green, questionable. John Collins, they're all later games for those. Tobias Harris, same thing with him. I think that's a 10 Eastern game too. So a lot of news we're waiting on. Santi Aldama, another late game, questionable. So there's a decent chance we don't really get much more news between now and lock, but also looks like there's a good chance you might be swapping as the night goes on.
Okay, we will keep some swaptions open. In the meantime, we like to start talking some FanDuel cash. Taylor, what's the build? What's the core? And just kind of walk me through it position by position, if you would.
Happy to do that for you, Roth.
Thanks, man.
It looks a little stars and scrubsy tonight, which is probably going to be a theme from here on out with the season a few weeks away from ending. Teams are tanking. John Collins available. Hey, we did get news. How about that? He's
Wasn't
available
expecting
after
that.
getting
I thought he was
dunked on
gonna
the other
miss.
night. Yeah.
After he got his soul removed, I
His
thought he was
face
going to miss
planted
tonight.
in. John Collins' soul removed.
That's-
Will play.
That's what I was picturing. Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. That potentially takes some Utah value off the board, but not really sad about that, honestly. So yeah, point guard in particular looks like a pay-up position for the most part. The one value guy is Pritchard. On FanDuel, he's cheaper than he is on DK by $200, which is certainly noteworthy. He's been really good lately. They've also been really shorthanded. They're going to be healthy with the exception of Holiday and Hauser. So not necessarily expecting another ceiling outcome, but he is cheap enough to chase again tonight against Milwaukee. Otherwise, I think you're paying up here. SGA against Utah, great matchup. Blowout risk, but they should be on the right side of that blowout. He's 11-1 on FanDuel. I think he's a great pay-up option today. Dame as well for 9K flat. No Giannis, going to see more usage. No Drew Holiday, obviously makes the matchup a little more palatable for him. So I think that's pretty good value. Obviously, there's a ceiling there. De'Aaron Fox and Halliburton, both in the 9K range. Halliburton's been bad lately. He's been in like an insane shooting slump, but good bounce back spot here against the Pistons. The price has come down enough to where I think it's fine to chase that tonight. Fox, the Kings are in one of the better matchups on the slate against Toronto on the road. Toronto's super shorthanded. Obviously, there's blowout risk here too, but again, the Kings should be on the right side of it. Fox and Sabonis are both going to be awesome plays. Point guard, I think that probably does it for point guards. Moving to shooting guard, it's a pay down position. Stanley Umude, we think, is going to start for Detroit again against Indiana, so it's a good matchup. Umude is a really bad per minute guy, but I think he played 34 minutes in the last game. Detroit is just thin on wings. No Fontecchio, no Isaiah Stewart, thin on forwards. So Umude should be in line for a good role, 4K flat. Happy to play him. Well, not happy to play him, but I will play him. Toronto, I mentioned being without Quickly, Barrett, Pirtle, several others tonight. So Grady Dick and Gary Trent likely to start together. Minutes should be secure for both. Sacramento is still playing at a fast pace, so Dick for 4-4. Gary Trent, what is he on FanDuel? Doesn't matter. Good value anyway. Shooting guard only. Grady Dick, you can play at small forward. Ditto for Bruce Brown and Jordan Nwora, 2 more Raptors. Nwora should see usage off the bench. Bruce Brown might have to play point guard kind of by default here. Looks like a really strong play, even though he's only small forward. He's got quite a few tags in lineup HQ. He's popping into 100% of the 200 optimals I ran right before the show, so he's a cash play for sure. Bryce Sensabaugh, another Utah value guy. Minute should be secure. Markkanen's out. Clarkson's out. Collins being in shouldn't hurt him too much. He's another small forward only play. It looks like this is definitely a value position, whereas point guard was a pay-up position. Power forwards kind of both. Sabonis, I think you're playing a cash for 10-9. I mentioned the matchup against Toronto. They've been getting murdered by bigs for a while now. Sabonis should do whatever he wants in this spot. On the value front, power forward, Caleb Martin, G.G. Jackson look good. Jackson is 6'3", so he's come up a bit, but the minutes have been pretty safe. They could be without Santi Aldama, so that's one more body they could be missing. They could be down to 9, I think, in that scenario. So he's a good play, even though the price has come up. Aaron Nesmith, maybe. Taylor Hendricks, possible. Kelly Olynyk, power forward only, should see tons of usage in theory for Toronto. It's like their one kind of main guy left, but again, there's blowout risk for them, and he's a little more expensive than the other value Raptors. And at center, we're looking at Sabonis primarily. Jonte Porter should have a roll off the bench if he doesn't start. For 4-7 for the Raptors, Thomas Bryant, we have projected to start for Bam, who's out. I'm not super confident in his minutes, but cheap enough to consider for sure. And then Miles Turner's okay if you're kind of in the mid-range. And I think that kind of does it for a FanDuel cash build.
Okay. Very good. Ice, then I will bring you in and talk some tournaments here. What's your game plan? Who you fading? Are you fading some of these guys that are 100% in optimals?
I'm not fading them, but I am going underweight on a lot of the early stuff. I think the field is mostly locking up a bunch of roster spots early. Toronto is really popular. The Indiana Detroit has some pieces. Milwaukee Boston surprisingly not getting as much ownership as I would have expected. So I don't mind going over on a couple of guys there. Pritchard, one that stands out for sure. He's played a bunch while they've been resting guys here late in the season. So I do like being overweight on Pritchard early. But I am really interested in this late news that's still to come. Nobody's really popping in the late games, and we're not showing much ownership at all. I think there are a couple of situations that could really open up some stuff. The first one being Anthony Simons. If he gets ruled out, I really think Delano Banton and Scoot Henderson become very good values, and it just like nobody's going to play them. If they have all their roster spots locked up with Toronto guys, it's going to be really difficult for them to pivot into as much ownership as they deserve in that situation. So building really heavy with Banton and Henderson, we're probably going to get the question, would you play them together? And I do think separating them is fine, especially since I'm going to be so far over the field to begin with. So making a group of 0 to 1, Banton and Henderson. I think if Simons is ruled out, there is a possibility they could both get there together. But just kind of separating my exposure to start is where I will begin. If Simons does ultimately get ruled out, I would remove that restriction and allow some of them together. Unfortunately, got the Collins news already in Utah. I still have some interest there. Oklahoma City plays at a top 10 pace, so I think it's a really good game environment. They're solid on defense, but they are not great at rebounding. So I have interest in Collins now that he is playing. If he would have been ruled out, Walker Kessler would have been a guy to jump on, I think. I also have a lot of interest in Keontae George and Colin Sexton to a lesser extent, but he's a little bit more expensive. But without the usage of Clarkson and Markkanen in this lineup, somebody's going to have to really step up their usage. We've seen Keontae George be that guy here recently, especially if they keep Sexton off the bench. They made that change the last time Clarkson was out. They moved Chris Dunn into the starting lineup, and Sexton came off of the bench. I think that opens up a ton of usage for Keontae George. So he is one of my favorite tournament plays on the entire slate. And then Philly is the other injury situation with Tobias Harris questionable. Tyrese Maxey and Kelly Oubre could potentially become very interesting plays. It's hard to play Phoenix, so I don't love the game stack here. I think Bradley Beal is my favorite guy to run it back with just to save a little bit of money down from Durant and Booker. Durant and Booker can smash any slate that they're on, of course, but there's plenty of blowout risk here. So I think I save the money, go down to Bradley Beal, but definitely want to make sure I have some Maxey and Oubre exposure before that news comes.
Okay. You feel comfortable giving me a position by position here on FanDuel as well, Ice?
Yep, let's do it. So at point guard, again, this blowout risk is something I'm really concerned about. So SGA is looking to be pretty popular. He's going to smash while he's out there. But if Utah cannot keep it close, and Collins being in is like lessens that risk a little bit, but we still have a wide spread here. I'm going to be under the field on SGA. It's not a comfortable position, but hopefully the blowout just costs him a couple 5 or 6 minutes and he doesn't put up that smash performance that I absolutely need. Lillard is a great play without Giannis, obviously. De'Aaron Fox is in a fantastic matchup against Toronto. Cade Cunningham is a guy I really like. Up-tempo game there as well. Malik Monk is one of my favorite plays on the entire slate. I think Kevin Huerter being ruled out makes his minutes super secure. And I also think Monk is like, I don't want to say blowout proof. Like he's not going to close the game in a 25-point game, but I think he would be on the court longer into a blowout than guys like De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. So Monk's minutes are secure in a close game because no Huerter, and I think he gets a little bit of extended run in a blowout as well. So I think there's a ton of upside for him. Let's see here. I mentioned Keontae George already, one of my favorite ways to get different shooting guards. A couple of names we haven't mentioned yet. The Amude thing, like he's so cheap. He's going to be out there. It's not comfortable, but I wouldn't kick him out of the lineup. I hate the ownership. I don't love the player, but he's cheap. I would prefer Grady Dick if choosing between the two, and I had the 400. I will be slightly underweight on both of those guys, just building heavier with the backload stuff, like I talked about at the top. I think Gary Trent is in an awesome spot. This is a great matchup for him against Sacramento. Colin Sexton, I mentioned, a little bit pricier than I want him to be, but I do think they're ceiling there with Markkanen and Clarkson off the floor. I talked about Monk. Keon Ellis is really interesting. He has carved out a real role here for Sacramento. He racks up a ton of stocks as well, so that plays particularly well on FanDuel here. He's a lot more expensive on FanDuel, but I think he fits the scoring system a little bit better. So I love Keon Ellis as a pivot away from Umude and Dick if you need a way to differentiate. Let's see. Moving on to some forwards here. Bruce Brown has to do a little bit of everything here with as shorthanded as Toronto is. So he's a fine play. I will be under that ownership, but he will be in plenty of my lineups. Sensabaugh is another one of those uncomfortable plays, but just the salary just works. I do prefer Nwora again if choosing between 4K forwards. Even though he's coming off the bench, I feel like he's just going to have a little bit more usage. They're more shorthanded than the Jazz are as well, I would say. Jimmy Butler is an interesting play. Not a great matchup, but no Bam Adebayo raises his ceiling for sure. Let's see here. Desmond Bane, a guy I really like. Like the explosion game is coming eventually for Bane. Ownership looks really good on him. I think Caleb Martin is interesting as a mid-range guy as well, with Miami being a little bit shorthanded. And then at the center position, Sabonis is a great play. You do have a little bit of blowout risk there, but I think he's a solid spend up today. Jonte Porter is really cheap. I think he could get a little extended run in a blowout if you're playing for Sacramento to run away with this one. DeAndre Ayton has been just unbelievable here recently, so you definitely want tournament exposure to that guy. Probably on every slate. If Simons gets ruled out, it's an even better spot. Just keep playing DeAndre Ayton until he stops smashing, but he's doing it pretty much every game he's playing right now. I think Jalen Duren is really interesting as well. Love the matchup for him against Indiana. And then you have the cheap Miami guys, Thomas Bryant and Orlando Robinson. Who knows how much they're going to play? We've seen Miami go really small when they've been without Bam before. Bryant is the guy projected to start. It could be Orlando Robinson as well. So keep an eye on that starting lineup, which we should get any minute here. But those minutes aren't secure, but one of them should get enough run to pay off their price tag. And then just want to mention Jared Allen as well. Dean touched on a little bit. No Bam Adebayo on the other side. No Evan Mobley for Cleveland. I keep chasing Jared Allen ceiling games. Haven't found one in a while, but this could be the spot without Bam.
Okay, very good. Is Ayton the reason I haven't won any money this year? Because I haven't played him once all season. Is this?
Well, this is like a relatively new thing.
Okay.
So like it's probably the reason over the past like 3 weeks or so, but it's just a relatively new thing.
Okay, I will continue to monitor this situation, but I ain't folding now. I'm not clicking his name now. I've done all season. All right, Taylor, let's kick it over to DK. We'll talk about what the build looks like over there. Maybe it's a little different. Maybe it's not. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple things. I like what Keith said about those Portland guards, Bam and Scoot. They're both point guard only on FanDuel, and no one's going to play them because all the point guards you're playing, Halliburton, SGA, Dame Lillard, Fox, are all in relatively early games. So if you wait on that news, maybe you play Pritchard and maybe you play a value Portland guard, you're totally flipping the build for a tournament. And I think that's really interesting to that on FanDuel. We also got that Heat lineup. Thomas Bryant is in it, and so is Patty Mills for some reason, starting over Caleb Martin. Yeah. Patty Mills, like it's 2012 all over again. Let's see. The Pistons are starting Umude and Ebowa. Tosan Ebowa, or whatever. Yeah.
That's a tough last name. 3,600 on DK. Or no, that's FanDuel, sorry. I think he's similar on DK, though. 3,400 on DK.
Yeah, he's probably going to be playable now.
Yep.
Who did we have projected to start there? Do you know offhand? Troy Brown?
Troy Brown is who we had projected, yep.
Okay. So that'll be interesting. Umude is certainly still playable since he's starting as expected. I guess Tosan might be playable too as a cash punt. See how projections go. But let's see, DK cash. Bruce Brown, you can play at point guard on DK, which is handy. Obviously you have all the same great point guards over here, Fox, SGA, Dame primarily. Halliburton probably more of a tournament play tonight, but happy to get to all of them. I think Fox is the one I'm prioritizing the most. Bruce Brown, of course, for 5'6", you're playing no matter what, either point guard or small forward. Keon Ellis, like Keith said on FanDuel, he's a point guard only on DK, which kind of limits his value, but he is cheap, and he has been starting lately for the Kings. Shooting guard, Umude, Malik Monk, Gary Trent, the same guys you have on FanDuel, Grady Dick. Karis LeVert is priced up, but he's been playing a ton without Donovan Mitchell. Plenty of usage to go around there with him out, and Evan Mobley still out. Monk for 6'3" looks like someone to prioritize. It is helpful to be able to play him at small forward too. I guess the priority at shooting guard is Umude, just because he's 3'9" and starting and has a path to mid-30s minutes, even if it is not very comfortable. Tosan's power forward only, so we'll get there in a bit. Small forward, I mentioned Umude, Bruce Brown, Malik Monk, Grady Dick. That's really it. I think you're paying down at these two positions. I think it's just really easy to do, and there's not really a ton to pay up for either. It's like Jimmy Butler, but he's playing Cleveland. Not really excited about that. Siakam, I think, is okay. GG Jackson is small forward eligible, but again, this looks like a position to pay down for. Power forward, Jordan Nwora for 3'8". I assume he might come down a little ownership-wise now that we have this Tosan starting for Detroit, but Nwora seems like the safer play. Good usage guy, decent per-minute guy over the years. I think he's solid. Jalen Williams always looks a little cheap on DK. He's been 6'9" for a while now. A good matchup for them against Utah, as I mentioned previously. Keegan Murray, decently cheap. Yet another king you can consider against the Raptors. Obviously a great matchup for them. Kelly Olynyk, Jaren Jackson might be more of a tournament play. And then at center, Sabonis is center only. I think you're just going to pay up for him. There's more than enough value to make that happen. Jonte Porter, Thomas Bryant could be okay. Projections prefer Porter pretty strongly for 4K flat. They're both the same price. I think I agree with that. Porter's been good per minute since he's kind of started to get an opportunity lately. It's really a two-center build, it looks like. Jonte Porter and Sabonis for DK cash. You can consider Chet because he's cheap, and the matchup against Utah is really good, but I think he might be more of a tournament play, but still okay for cash if you land there. And I think that'll probably do it. I guess Keith dipped on us, didn't he?
He did. He had enough of this. I don't blame him. I've got a question about tournaments and specifically Sabonis. It feels like all the value is there, and then everyone's just spending up for Sabonis. Like he's the top spend up option, right? As far as cash goes.
Yeah.
So in tournaments, is everybody going to be playing him? Is there a spend up that is different and better? What would you do in that scenario?
Center is kind of tough tonight. Like I mentioned Chet, I mentioned Miles Turner briefly, not expensive, of course. It's really just Sabonis as the pay up center. The next most expensive centers are Jackson Jr. and Ayton for 8.2, which is almost 3K less. So you have the money to spend, you just don't really have anywhere else to spend it.
How about other positions, like other spend ups elsewhere that you like if you are spending down at center?
Yeah, it's kind of point guard. Like I've mentioned, all those awesome point guards. I think Maxey is a really interesting play, especially if Tobias is out for a tournament. Steph Curry, no one's playing him. Desmond Bane, Keith shouted out on FanDuel. I think he's a really strong play too in tournaments. There are guys to pay up for. Sabonis's matchup kind of makes him seem like the priority.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's just got a really high floor. He's a very safe play in general, but I do think there's a chance ownership projections could be a little bit low on him compared to what he actually will come in at.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. And the timing of this, we stalled just long enough for my man Ice to come back in. Ice, you got any tournament takes for us? We were just finishing up on some cash and kind of talking about how we're getting different on DK if everybody's spending up for Sabonis, which it feels like everyone is.
Yeah, so I'm actually building a little bit more in the mid range. I do think guys like Tatum are going overlooked, Lillard to a bit of an extent. Like I think being underweight on Sabonis and even SGA are the way to go. Not that they're bad plays or anything. I just think there's plenty of blowout risk there, and I think you can find it somewhere else. Like the Booker Durant thing it's just too difficult to figure out which one's going to go off in that situation. So I'm preferring not to land there. But guys like Maxey a little bit lower, Jaylen Brown, let's see here, DeAndre Ayton, like spending up into that 8K range. Desmond Bane, another one I have a good amount of. But just like living in that 8K, low 9K range instead of going all the way up to the top.
Gotcha.
And then I don't have to play as many of the Detroit punts and the Toronto punts. I can go underweight on those guys and spend up a little bit to like the 5K range. Just changing the build a little bit.
Okay, that's exactly what I was trying to figure out how to do it, and that makes a lot of sense. Do you want to walk us through your build over on DK, or is it similar enough where you don't feel it's useful?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much the exact same. Just building heavier with the later games, and that includes going overweight on guys like DeAndre Ayton, Tyrese Maxey, the Portland guards, Scoot and Banton. So same strategy, very similar to FanDuel. I don't think it's worth rehashing the names.
Okay, fair enough. Then let me hit some promo reads, and we will take some QQs. First of all, there has never been a better time to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. Got NBA, PGA, NCAA, NHL, MMA, MLB, all that like right in the mix here. You can get a 6-month combo subscription at the exclusive price of $469.99, which is a savings of $250 instead of buying 6 individual months of combo premium. You can also give combo a test run with our 3-day pass, $19.99 for those looking to kind of just dip your toes in before diving in. Check out the link in our description for more info. I got a couple other reads. Maybe we'll hold off on that in a bit and get some content and some QQs here. Pulling up the RG Discord because that is where the cool kids hang out. And we will start with Fluff. He says, Ice, what are your thoughts on playing Banton and hoping Simons is out? And then if he's in, save enough to play Scoot instead.
It's literally my favorite strategy on the slate. That Simons news is like the number one thing that will affect my slate today.
Very nice. Okay. Excellently asked there, Fluff. We'll go to D-Rock's question, DKGPP, Banton Durant, or Keontae George and Triple J, Ice?
I like both of them a lot. I prefer the second one slightly. I just don't feel confident in Durant to put up the score he needs at that price. So give me the second one.
Okay. FanDuel single entry and GPP. So Taylor, I'm going to come to you. Do you think it's too risky to build as if Simons is out and build with Banton? If I do this, I'd be sacrificing Cade.
I don't think that's too risky at all, especially because I think Scoot on DK is cheaper than Banton, and Scoot played 30 minutes in the last game, no minutes limit. I think he's a fine value anyway, even in a tough spot. So I do like that way to build.
Okay, great. Jay Sams also says, hey, shout out to the team again. By the way, a couple weeks ago, Jay Sams won a bunch of money, but he says, shout out to the team again. He was in first in the windmill single entry, but basically all night. And then Ant went nuclear, ended up in 5th, but he got a second ticket for the single entry final. Good job, man. Good job, Jason.
Nice,
been on a heater.
On fire. Yep.
That is fantastic. FanDuel single entry. Ice, I'll come to you. Can we sort out? Oh, this is a great question. Could we sort out the Detroit scrub situation a little bit more? Who you like, who you don't, or you can just be honest and be like, I barely even know these dudes' names.
The real, well, I know the names, but the real answer is we don't know. Like the rotation is going to be extremely hard to pin down. As far as like favorite plays, Umudia feels like the guy that they're wanting to get a strong look at. So I feel best about his minutes. 34 in that last one. We have him projected for 32. He's in the starting lineup again. Pretty confident he's going to play at least like 28 to 30 minutes with upside for like 34, 36. The rest of the guys, I mean, Tosan E, we'll call him. I have no idea what the plan is for him. We have him projected for low 20s. It wouldn't surprise me if he played 32 minutes in this spot. It's just, it's really 10. Right. 10's probably low without like an injury, but
Yeah.
like 18, starting and playing 18 minutes is not out of the question. So it's a complete guessing game. I think guys like Marcus Sasser, Troy Brown Jr. could factor into this as well. Evan Fournier could factor in. The Detroit rotation is quite a mess at this point.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's see what else we got here. FanDuel. Okay. JT Money says, hey, I just got here. First 3 players you plug into a FanDuel 100-person top 12 win. So Taylor, I'll give this to you because it's a little cashy. Your first 3 players you're plugging into a FanDuel lineup.
I think the first 2 for sure are going to be Bruce Brown and probably Sabonis. You kind of have your pick of the litter of the value guys. We mentioned Umude. I don't know if coming in underweight on Umude is a bad idea in a tournament just because he's got a wide range of outcomes and questionable ceiling. I guess the third would be another expensive point guard, SGA. Dame Lillard potentially would be the guys I'd look to first.
Very nice. Well done. Okay. FanDuel GPP Ice, your favorite stud in one lineup. Who's it going to be?
Favorite stud in one lineup, Damian Lillard.
Nice. Okay. Steve-O says, who's eaten if Aldama is out? Is it Laravia season? Probably not. I don't know.
I mean, I think that's the name that benefits the most.
Yeah.
Jaren Jackson maybe benefits just because Laravia is not quite the rebounder that Aldama is. Yeah, but I think Laravia is the name.
Okay. It just feels like it's never Laravia season. Like he may get the greatest
fair.
boost, but it's not Laravia season. He's maybe playable. Blink says large field DK Ice, looking for the highest potential player to use in my guard spot that is under 6K. Very specific question. He's already got Pritchard, so he wants high
Which
upside. This is DK large field tournament, so I assume he's okay with the little, a little lower ownership.
6K or below.
6K or below with the highest upside at guard, not including Pritchard.
Banton is my favorite play on the slate. If Simon gets ruled out, he's 5,600.
Excellent. Very good. FanDuel single entry. Taylor, coming to you. Lillard or Hallie?
Lillard for me.
Okay. We'll go to ASAP Chargers. How many minutes do you think Laravia will play, Ice? And is he a good play on Yahoo? I don't know if we know the Yahoo price.
I don't have his Yahoo price. I assume this is if Aldama is ruled out because he's borderline playable without with Aldama in. I really would only have significant interest if Aldama is out though. I think he probably plays 32, 34 if Aldama is out and assuming that he's the one that jumps into the starting lineup.
Okay. We'll go to Chinatown's question. DK Cash. What is the late news of the 3 late games that could really tilt the slate? Is leaving no slots after the 7:30 games start risky? Is that where we get into the Banton situation?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I do think the Simons news is the most impactful. And personally, I think it is a risk to leave no spots available after 7:30.
Okay, great.
Because you do have the Tobias thing too, which would make Oubre very much in play and Tyrese Maxey also.
Okay. We'll go to Fluff's question. Still taking a few more from the Discord, and then I'll jump into the YouTube shortly. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, hit us with a thumbs up. Hit us with a subscribe. Free content from 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz. FanDuel single entry Taylor, Olynyk and Ellis, or Gigi and Conchar / Lavaria.
I think the first one sounds a little bit better. But yeah, I don't really have a read on the Aldama situation. I do feel like questionable Grizzlies tend to sit out. So kind of depends on your preference. But if you want safety, I think the first one's a little safer.
Okay, great. Aside says FanDuel Cash, Taylor Pritchard and Hemi Butler. I like that. Or Halliburton and Clam Crowder.
First one.
Excellent. Sean says, Ice, what do you think about Okoro in a FanDuel GPP? It is his brother's, sister's, uncle's, mom's former roommate's birthday today.
I think he's going to play a bunch of minutes, but he doesn't do a ton when he's out there. The matchup is okay without Bam, I think. So I don't hate it. I think he can do better.
Okay, great. Jump in here into the YouTube chat. Got a whole bunch of questions in. DK Cash question from Ryan in the YouTube. Taylor, you want Bryant or Porter?
Porter. It's kind of a toss-up, but Porter is who pops more in projections.
Okay, we'll go to Alan's question. Also, DK Cash, Taylor, Portis or Crowder? Portis and Crowder, same lineup.
Don't really love Crowder for cash. He is cheap enough, though. I guess you can do that. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. We did that question here. If you can pick two of these point guards in cash on FanDuel, which two would you pick? Halliburton, Fox, Lillard.
Fox, Lillard.
Ooh, no hesitation. Love it. All right. Paul says Ice, Tosan, or Agbaji?
Agbaji just has not done anything with his opportunity, or maybe once he did. He had one game. So I think I'd roll the dice on Tosan tonight.
Okay. We'll go to George. He says, FanDuel tournament Ice. Do I go with Sabonis and Ayton or Siakam with a cheap Detroit, or like Siakam and Ayton with a mid-range shooting guard? That was a lot there.
Yeah, I think. Wait, it's Siakam and Ayton is the second pair, or Siakam and someone else is the first pair with Sabonis.
Sabonis and Ayton was one,
because that's expensive. So why would you be going down? The salary's not adding up there.
I don't know. It was a little bit.
It's got to be
George.
Sabonis.
You hit us with like three options. You got to one or the other, George.
I think he meant Sabonis and a cheap guy, or Siakam and Ayton. That's what makes sense salary wise. But
I don't
resend
know.
it.
Okay, resend it. Rank the Toronto guys in DK Cash, Taylor. Rank them.
Let's see. Bruce Brown, I think, is number one. Wara, number two. Porter, number three. Followed by Dick and Trent.
Nice. Okay. Do you like... David says Ramsey thoughts? Ice, you got any Ramsey?
As a pivot off of like Nowara, I think it's okay. I think it's a very low probability of hitting, but I don't think it's crazy if you're running a bunch of lineups or playing super large field.
Okay. Achilles says, Ice, do you like Jonte Porter on DK?
Yes, I do. I liked him more before I realized it was going to be really chalky today, but he's had a significant role. I think he might even play a few extra minutes in a blowout. Like, there's no reason for them to keep running Kelly O out there. So I think you could see 25, 26 minutes in a blowout. So I do like him.
Okay, great. Shane says, projection question here on DK. Taylor, Bane or Triple J?
I think I slightly prefer Triple J, but both are very interesting tonight.
Okay. Taylor, Achilles says, is Keon Ellis a lock in DK Cash?
He's not a lock, just because there's tons of value.
All right. Ron says, in a DK GPP Ice, can I play Trent and Bruce Brown together?
Yes. You need Trent to be the guy to score, and then Bruce Brown can get there through rebounds and assists, stocks. So yeah, I definitely think they can both get there together.
Okay, we'll go to Ruthless Villain. He says, yo, Ice, do you think Draymond plays? I didn't hear any mention of TJD.
I am glad he brought that up, because if Draymond is out, TJD, I didn't get there on FanDuel because he's more expensive on FanDuel. And then I had the internet issue. So I completely overlooked it. I love that thought. TJD at 4,900 on DK is a phenomenal play if Draymond is out. I think he's even in play on FanDuel, just not the extreme strong value he would be on DK.
Nice. Okay, great. Jumping back into the Discord briefly here, we got D Bulls fan. Any interest in Duarte, Sacramento, large field DK GPP Ice?
Similar to the Ramsey play. I can see a path to him getting there, especially in a blowout type of thing. He's not a huge per minute guy, but I think he could get a little extra run in a blowout. So large field, okay with it.
Okay. G-Man says, how are we sleeping on Portis? There's no Giannis, people. Are we sleeping on Portis?
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I don't think he comes out and shoots 5 for 5 from 3 in the first quarter and a half like he did last game. But the upside is definitely tremendous. Without Giannis, like I said, it's the matchup against Boston, I think, is what's keeping the ownership low. But I mean, I would definitely have some exposure to both sides of that game.
The possible Simons getting sitting scenario is based on what? He's carried a Q tag in his last 2 and played a ton. Did he do something in the Chicago game? Was it that he got downgraded?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
midday downgrade.
Midday downgrade was what it is based on here. FanDuel in all formats. Taylor, gut feel on Bryant minutes with Bam out.
20, 23 to 24.
Nice. Okay, that is a specific gut feel. I approve. I like how you gave a range, but the range was only 1 minute. Like that is a confident ass range that you gave.
I should have gone like 18 to 24, but I'm not smart.
All right, no, I approve.
Next, he's going to say 23 and a half.
You're right. They asked for your gut feel, and that was it. FanDuel Cash, Taylor, 3v3, Fox, Gigi, Bryant, or Pritchard, Hemi, and Kelly O.
Fox, Gigi, Bryant. I'd go that way.
Okay, great. Is Portis okay in a DK GPP?
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right. Very nice. Less than 2 minutes until lock. I'm kind of jumping down in the YouTube chat right now. Any Kuminga on FanDuel? Ice?
None for me. I do think he gets a little bit of a bump with if Draymond misses.
Okay. Is Jovic viable on FanDuel?
4-4. No, we only have him at 21 minutes, so not on this slate for me.
Okay. We're dumpster diving here. Hoosiers hang banners 3-1. Last piece in the util on DK. Taylor, we got anybody at 3-1?
3-1.
We got a lot of value, but I don't know if we got that kind of value.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to come by. Orlando Robinson's 3K. Suppose he'd be the one.
Okay, very nice. FanDuel Cash, Umude or Chris Dunn? If I get Umude, I'll have $500 left with Sabonis in the lineup.
Umude over Chris Dunn, I think, no matter what.
Okay. In a tournament, can you start Monk and Ellis in a tournament on DK?
Yeah, I don't have any issue with that.
Okay. Does this may be my favorite question of the night so far? Does Jalen Williams give you a certain feeling in your plums? Do you have a certain feeling in your plums on Jalen Williams tonight, Ice?
I feel like he's fine. Blowout concerns me. I do like saving the money instead of spending up the SGA and just hoping that he gets there, even if the game gets a little out of hand. So no specific feeling though.
Okay. It's not quite a feeling in the plums, but not a negative feeling either. Porter or G Jackson on DK? Taylor, Porter or G Jackson?
Porter?
John Tay probably.
Aren't they like vastly different prices? GG's 6K, Porter's 4K. I'd go GG if it's straight up.
Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like we have hit the lock. Seeing if there's anything here. Okay, I think we've done a good job. We hit the lock. We did the things we needed to do. Gents, I think it is time to bounce on out of here and watch some sports. So for Taylor, for Ice, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.